My life was a perfect pattern of quiet duty, dusting codices, silencing patrons, and guarding a secret that could unmake reality. As head librarian of the Alexandrian Public Library, my greatest threat was overdue fines. Until today, the new mayor, Alistair Vance, swept in for a publicity tour. His handshake was cold. When his eyes met mine across the history section, a smirk touched his lips. He leaned in, his voice a velvet poison only I could hear. "Keeper, still polishing the old wards, I see. Tell me, does the Codex of Infinite Night still sing to its jailer?" My blood froze. He wasn't just a politician, he was a demon from the old wars, and he knew exactly what I was. The day Mayor Alistair Vance walked into my library, the wards hummed a warning note, so low it felt like a bone-deep vibration. I was pretending to examine a water stain on a 19th century map of the sewers, using the moment to soothe the ancient, layered enchantments in the marble floors. They were restless, agitated in a way I'd never felt. His arrival was a spectacle of polished modern authority, flashing cameras, aides with tablets, the sharp smell of expensive cologne cutting through the scent of old paper. Vance himself was handsome in a severe way, with silver-streaked hair and a smile that didn't reach his cold, assessing eyes. To the staff and press, he was a man of progress. To the wards and to me, he was a walking corruption. A faint, shimmering distortion trailed him, like heat haze on asphalt, drinking the light from the old brass lamps. He gave a bland speech about pillars of community knowledge. I hovered near the circulation desk, the picture of a timid, dedicated public servant. My heart was a frantic drum against my ribs. As the tour moved toward the rare books wing, a deliberate route I'd never approved, his gaze swept over me. It wasn't a glance, it was a recognition. He paused by my desk. "Miss Gray, isn't it?" His voice was a smooth, public baritone. "The city owes you thanks for maintaining such a venerable institution." His handshake was brief, his skin unnaturally cool. "The honor is mine, Mr. Mayor," I murmured, looking down. He leaned in, under the guise of admiring a display on local flora. His next words were a thread of sound, woven with a power that slithered into my ear alone. "Keeper, still polishing the old wards, I see. Tell me, does the Codex of Infinite Night still sing to its jailer?" My blood froze. He wasn't just a politician, he was a demon from the old wars, and he knew exactly what I was. Time stopped. The noise of the tour faded. He knew the Guardian title, he knew the Canticle, one of the 9 core profane texts. This wasn't an infernal tourist, this was a scholar of the abyss. I met his eyes, allowing a flicker of the vigilance I usually kept buried to show through. "The stacks are in order, Mr. Mayor. Some books are simply meant to stay on their assigned shelves." His smile widened, a predator's grin. "We'll see about that." He straightened, addressing the room. "Such dedication, we must ensure our libraries have every resource." The tour moved on, leaving me frozen in a pool of dread. He wasn't here to find the vault, he already knew where it was. He was here to announce his presence, to tell me the game was over. That night, in the true heart of the library, a sub-basement accessible only by a sequence of steps walked in a specific sigil pattern, I stood before the iris of the vault. It wasn't a door, but a swirling, silent vortex of muted color in the stone. The air thrummed with contained power. I placed my hands on the cool rock. "The warden seeks counsel," I whispered in the tongue of foundations. The air shifted, an intelligence, vast and slow as continental drift, focused on me. "The adversary is known," the Athenaeum's sentience communicated not in words, but in direct impressions. "He is Alistar, a whisperer of names, bound in flesh. He seeks the unmaking verse." My blood froze. The unmaking verse wasn't a book, it was a conceptual lock within the vault. If spoken by a demon of sufficient power, it wouldn't just open the archive, it would invert its purpose, unleashing every contained horror at once. He cannot be barred by ward or stone, the sentience imparted. His weapon is the law. He will come for the building itself. Of course, he wouldn't need to fight me. He was the mayor. He could declare the library structurally unsound, order an evacuation, send in city workers and demolition crews. My magic could make humans forget, could turn aside curious minds, but it couldn't stop a bureaucratic decree backed by bulldozers. My defense had always been secrecy. My enemy had just changed the rules of engagement to a battlefield of permits and press conferences. I couldn't fight a demon in the mayor's office, but perhaps I didn't have to. A plan, desperate and fragile, began to form. If Alistar wanted to use the city against me, I would have to use the city against him. I would have to become visible. The next day, I didn't hide. I put on my best professional blouse and called the local historical society. I scheduled interviews with newspapers, spinning a tale of the library's irreplaceable architectural and historical core. I became overnight a passionate preservationist. I rallied the community, the book clubs, the elderly patrons who loved their quiet corners. I started a Save Our Stacks campaign. Weeks passed in a blur of public hearings and strategy. Vance watched me, amused, from across council chambers. He played his part perfectly, the progressive mayor saddened by the necessary changes for safety. The showdown came at the final zoning meeting. The vote was to condemn the library's main wing for renovations. The room was packed. I gave my speech, my hands trembling not from fear, but from channeling a subtle, broad-spectrum enchantment of conviction and trust. I was weaving the weakest of magics, not on Vance, but on the council, on the crowd, a gentle nudge towards seeing value, towards protection. Vance took the podium for his rebuttal. "Sentiment cannot override public safety," he began, his voice compelling. Then he made his mistake. Trying to mock my efforts, he gestured grandly. "We are not guarding some mythical hidden treasure here." On the word treasure, I released a tiny focused spark of power into the library's ward net. It was a trigger. Across the city, every copy of the mayor's official portrait, in schools, in offices, in the lobby of City Hall, briefly flickered. For a single second, the image wasn't Alistair Vance's handsome face, but the true shifting shadow-on-lava visage of Alistar, a scream etched in its features. The collective gasp in the room was real. People rubbed their eyes. A low murmur of confusion spread. Vance faltered, feeling the ripple in the glamour that held his human form. His cold eyes snapped to mine, burning with pure, undisguised hatred. He knew I hadn't attacked him directly. I had attacked his cover. I had made the city, for a fleeting moment, see him. In that crack of doubt, the council voted. The measure failed. After the crowd dispersed, he cornered me in the empty parking lot now. The night air was cold. "A clever trick, Warden," he hissed, the human mask barely holding. "You've bought time. You have not won." "I don't need to win," I said steadily. "I just need to keep the door closed. And now, Mr. Mayor, you're not a mysterious threat. You're a politician with a very strange, very public glitch in your image. How long can you maintain your campaign when people are starting to look twice?" He vanished into the shadows, not with a dramatic puff of smoke, but with the angry, silent withdrawal of a tactician who has been unexpectedly checkmated. I returned to the library, to the silent wards, the familiar dust. The vault was safe, for now. The battle was no longer hidden. It had moved into the gray area between perception and politics, and I, Sidney Gray, the forgettable librarian, would have to learn to fight in the light. The warden's morning ritual. My day didn't begin with coffee, it began with the sigh of the stone. At 5:15 a.m., 2 hours before the library opened, I would stand in the center of the main reading room, bare feet on the coldest patch of the great marble compass rose inlaid in the floor. I closed my eyes and breathed with rhythm with the building. To anyone else, it was silence. To me, it was a symphony of humming pressure. The wards, a layered lattice of ancient magic woven into every brick, beam, and book. My mind traced their patterns like a technician reading a city's power grid. The binding of forgetting on the sub-basement entrance, stable and humming. The sigil of misdirection on the philosophy stacks, where a few too many seekers had gotten close over the decades, flickering slightly, needing reinforcement. I'd walk the stacks, not reshelving, but running a finger along specific spines. A 1732 atlas here, a botanical guide from 1890 there. Each was a keystone book, its physical presence a critical anchor for the metaphysical